All right, thank you. Welcome everyone. I'm SaundersTech, and this right here is Okami HD, all bosses. I'm going to be defeating all of the bosses today. Now, real quick, there is a donation incentive where in this game, there's a 1 frame perfect infinite jump glitch called KT glitch. If you donate, I will stop doing the infinite jump glitch, the frame perfect one, and I will start doing the double frame perfect BKT glitch. And while it is just another frame perfect input, that trick is genuinely 10 times harder. So if you want to see me suffer, then I'd highly recommend sending in a donation. But I'm ready to begin. So let's get this one started in 3, 2, 1, go. Thank you. So loading in, the first thing is the game is going to present me with a 10-minute movie. Now, as this is a speedrun, I'll be skipping all of it. So this just explains the plot of the game. So just to fill you in with the basics, I am playing as a sun goddess wolf called Amaterasu. She's been resurrected after 100 years because the area I'm playing in, which is called Nippon, it's set in ancient Japan, and this area has been cursed. So my job as sun goddess Amaterasu is I need to go around and lift the curse. So starting off this speedrun, I'm in the tutorial section. This is where you learn how to play the game, but this is also where I'm going to learn some speedrunning tricks as well. So throughout this game, there's a ton of cutscenes. You will notice I jump into the cutscene, that preserves my speed. And then when I jump out, I restore my speed. And that just allows me to move a lot faster across the map. So this right here is a constellation. When I complete it, it will give me a brush power. So Amaterasu's tail is a brush, and her brush can be used to manipulate the real world environment. So this river right here, it was incomplete, and I just used my brush power in order to complete the river and advance onwards. In total, there are 13 brush powers. For this speedrun, I will get 8. So now I'm going to head into the next area of the tutorial, and I'm going to do another trick. And this trick is called bunny hopping. Yes, that's right. This is so incredible. So check this one out. It turns out, in certain areas of the game, you can see Amaterasu, she's just constantly jumping. And before she starts running on the floor, I'm just spamming that jump button. And the reason why you do this is when you run up hills, you slow down. However, if you start bunny hopping while you're on a flat slope or a downhill slope, the speed value on that flat slope or downhill slope is preserved. And as long as you continue bunny hopping, that speed boost is preserved the entire time, whether you're going up the ground or not. So here is my second brush power. This is called Power Slash. And how it works is you draw a straight line and it cuts stuff. It really is so incredible. So check this one out. Boom. And I cut the wood just like that. And here we go. I'm going to skip the first fight in Okami HD. And I just did it. Wow. This is so incredible. Whoa. But you know what's even more incredible is that I'm going to skip a fight for the second time, the back-to-back. Here we go. Let's see if I can do it. So in 3, 2, 1, and I skip the second fight. And if you're watching this, it kind of looks like I was doing nothing. And to some extent, you're right. But how fight works in this game is you need to enter the low zone trigger. You can see that gate to the left, that red gate. If you run under the gate, the fight begins. But what I was doing is by running to the left of the gate, the fight doesn't start. And throughout this speedrun, you're going to notice I'm going to do some of the most trivial fight skips there are. And if you haven't played this game before, you could load up Okami right now, and in just 5 minutes, you could do your first ever fight skip, which is really cool. So with the Power Slash, I can cut this bud, and this restores the Komiki village. So throughout this speedrun, a bunch of areas, let's say this village, they're cursed, I need to lift the curse. And that's what I'll be doing. And then I'll be going into the dungeons or the bosses, and then I'll be killing all the bosses. They will all be destroyed, believe me. So I'm going to Amaterasu will destroy all the bosses. But first, you'll notice there's a problem. The area is green, the day-night cycle's stuck. So I'm meant to draw the sun, help, all the villagers of Komiki village, Instead, I'm going to leave them to rot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an infinite jump glitch to jump over that rock. That skips me cutting it down, and that saves an extreme amount of time. So how the infinite jump glitch works in Okami is you can notice Amaterasu has these costumes. They are called Karmic Transformers. Karmic Transformer is long for KT. And so if you switch your Karmic Transformer in the air, the game thinks for just one frame that you're on the ground. And so what you can do is you can hit a ground tackle input. From the ground tackle input, you can hit a jump. And I'll make it look like I'm just jumping, like I'm just flying. But you know, you can just get infinite jumps. I'm going to completely sequence break the game with this glitch. So here is the next area, Hana Valley. You'll notice that the water is all muddy. So what I need to do is I need to remove the mud. But first, here comes the next fight skip in Okami HD. This is actually a relatively new skip as well. Now, I don't know if I'll make this look easy or not. Let's see, one more. Just one more KT. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get around this invisible wall. It should just be one more. There we go. So you saw those imps. Those are enemies in this game, because I've skipped all the fights. You might not know what enemy looks like, but those are imps. They're like green dudes and all that good stuff. And they're having a party. And so what the game wants you to do is it wants you to crash that party and just kill all the imps. What I did instead is there's this invisible wall. You climb up the invisible wall, and then there's a little curve you can do, and you can skip the fight just like that. But here we go. This is incredible. The first fight in Okami HD. I've waited such a long time for this. Wow, this is so crazy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to equip a bunch of equipment, and then everyone's going to die. Yes, everyone's going to die. This is incredible. So you might be wondering, how did I just kill all those enemies so quickly? Well, I am playing New Game Plus category. So what that means is I've completed the game before, and after I've completed the game, a bunch of my items from my last playthrough can be carried over to my next playthrough. So the item I used to destroy all those enemies is called Exorcism Slip. Imagine a spell, and then that spell does an extreme amount of damage, and then that extreme amount of damage destroys those enemies. It's an item you get later on in the game, but because I have it right now, these early enemies, they just get destroyed. You'll also notice that I have a sword on my back. Inside the fights, I have beads. These are just weapons you get later on in the game. They aren't overpowered on their own, but I have an item called String of Beads that gives me 10 times damage. It's so wild. You'll see it later on in use. But first, there's a guy in the cave, and I need to help him cut these wooden torches. So you can see this guy here, he's called Susano. He's angry that there's a bear in this cave. And on his own, he's trying to cut these wooden torches, but he can't do it. So he needs my assistance with a powder brush. I can cut his wooden torches, and I can cut that bear down. So here we go, here's this bull. If you have never played this game before, this is one of the most toughest things to do in this game. So I need to push this bull into this water fountain. And I just did it perfectly there. That's a lot harder than it looks. So if you could just carry the bull, it'd be really easy to just move it over to this water area. However, we have to push the bull, and the physics are extremely precise. But I did it first try, so that's not too bad. After I push this bull, the brush gods, they're going to be so proud of me. They're going to give me my next brush power. And this right here is bloom. So how it works is you see there are these trees, and by drawing a circle, it blooms a tree just like that. All those beautiful blossoms on display. But you know what's even more beautiful is another fight skip coming. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. Let's see. So there's a line on the floor that conveniently tells you where to wall jump. And there we go, I just skipped another fight in Okami HD. So Hana Valley, the area I'm in, this would be classified as the final tutorial dungeon of the game. So after this point, I'm going to save, I'm just going to be completely sequence breaking the game, all that good stuff. But first, the imps, they are still having a nice party. And so what I need to do is I need to skip this fight again. So I'm just gonna get outside camera. I hope I can actually do this. Let's just do one more for safety. There we go, I completely skipped the fight, just like that. Fight skips, they're kind of rare in this game, you know what I'm saying? I'm nostalgic for the days when I used to fight enemies. So now, I've returned back to this place called Shinshu Field. You'll notice all that red in the background, all that scary stuff. That is the curse zone. So what I'm gonna do, is I'm gonna draw the circle, I can bloom the tree, and completely lift the curse. So Shinshu Field, this is the main hub of this part of the game. And so, what we need to do, what we have to do is just do a bunch of side quests, do all this stuff. Well, I have a side quest on my own, which is skipping everything. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and get up here, and I'm gonna get my next brush power called Cherry Bomb. However, in order to get Cherry Bomb, it needs to be nighttime. So how do I make it night? I can either wait 6 minutes, or I can talk to this guy, and then leave the building, and all of a sudden, wow, he was talking for so long, it immediately turns into nighttime. This is so incredible. So this is a side quest. This is called the Most Wanted. So you see that guitar dude? He is part of the Most Wanted list, and these are a bunch of enemies we have to go around and defeat. And so there we go, he just died. Wow, that was really tough, wow. However, because this is a side quest, we only start the side quest just to change day into night. We're not gonna complete the side quest. Instead, we're gonna cross off his name. Now, unfortunately, I don't speak Japanese. You have to memorize each Japanese name. That could have went wrong. I could have had to cross off every single enemy in our list, but the good news is, I did get it first try. So coming up, we're gonna go to the Cherry Bomb house. But first, there's a fish. It's a dead fish. And I have to skip this fight. And this fight, skip is a little bit tougher. Okay. So I skipped the fight. I genuinely skipped the fight. And then I was meant to run to the right. I ended up running forwards, and I hit the fight anyway. That's not too bad. This fight, you know, it's only a 15-second fight. That was one roller coaster of emotions, wow. But here we go. Let's enter the Cherry Bomb house. And this guy, Tama, right here, he wants fireworks to start playing, but he needs our help. So I'm gonna draw a circle and a line just like this. This is gonna create a cherry bomb. And boom, wow, the fireworks are coming out. And the brush gods, they are so grateful for the firework display that they're gonna give me my next brush power, which is cherry bomb. So how it works, if there's like gaps in the wall, you can draw the cherry bomb and it will blow it up just like this. If you're playing the game casually as well, cherry bombs can be used to deal extreme amount of damage to enemies. In fact, if I was playing the new game version of this speedrun, which is a version where you don't have all your items and stuff, well, you would want to use cherry bomb for all the fights because it is that broken, it would destroy everything. But right now, I need to head to my next location, which is Agatha Forest. The way you're meant to do it is by the bottom part there. The way I'm gonna do it is by using the KT glitch. I can just jump over, and this entrance is actually an exit. So you're only allowed to exit through this place. However, with the KT glitch, I could just come up here anyway. So now I'm gonna do a new trick called Brush Adventure. So let's see if I could do this. How this works is I need to do a precise setup to just clip the brush out of bounds. So my brush is currently out of bounds. And then I can bloom the tree from outside the map. I've done another glitch as well, which is that I have bloomed the tree at the exact same time I've left Agatha Forest. And what this does is it skips the animation of blooming the tree. It also respawns me in this location, which allows me to advance to my next place a lot faster. So here is Agatha Forest. Wow, such an incredible place. You won't be seeing much of Agatha Forest right now. I'll come back here later. There's a boss that I do need to fight in a dungeon here. But how this works is you see to my left, there's this place called Suta Ruins. What you're expected to do is go through that Suta Ruins dungeon, and then you see this bridge here. we can repair the bridge. And then once we repair the bridge, you can advance to the next area. However, with the power of the Katie glitch, I can jump over this bridge. So let's just build up speed here. There we go. Boom. I'm going to try that again. There we go. And I could just jump over the bridge. And that skips a good 20 minutes. And I could head to my next area, Tucker Pass. Now, the thing about the Katie glitch is it doesn't actually work over water. So that bridge there, it was covered by water. And so what I did is a different type of glitch. It's still called Katie glitch because you switch your karmic transformers, but you can't jump infinitely over the water in the air. Instead, if Amaterasu is right next to the water, if you switch the karmic transformer, it's not a frame perfect trick, but you can just hit another jump and you can just infinitely jump right over the water just like this. So now here we go, the first boss in Okami. Wow, this is incredible. I'm so excited. He's called Waka. And he's dead. Yes, he's dead. Wow. So I promise you, as the speedrun gets progressive, the bosses, they will require some skill to defeat. But that guy's Waka. And I need to defeat him for 2 reasons. The first reason is with playing all bosses. The second reason is this garden sapling is always accessible to us. You can see it right there. However, the game developers, they don't want you to bloom the tree without defeating Waka. I just gained a bit of height there. And there we go, I can bloom Tucker Pass just like that. So I'm making great progress. However, I'm going to be super breaking the game storage. It's going to be so crazy. Right, here we go. So what I need to do right now is there's this daughter. And this daughter of this King Sparrow, she's been kidnapped. And so my objective is I need to save her, and then that allows me to advance the story. However, that takes a long time. So I'll be skipping that. But first, here's a little side quest. You can see the moles. Hello, Mr. Mole. So these are thieves. They've stolen this item. And so what I need to do is I need to track where this mole is moving. And then once this mole moves, I just bonk his head just like that. There we go. And once you bonk him enough time, he reveals this item and then gives it back. So going back to the story of this game, you know, the King Sparrow's daughter, she was kidnapped. And so what I need to do is I need to destroy the demons who kidnapped her. However, that takes a really long time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something else. You're going to see it just a little bit. It's going to be very crazy. So here we go. I'm going to walk all the way into the Saucer Sanctuary. And, you know, if you have any announcements, anything to say, that would be a great time.
Yeah, sure thing. We have always something to say here at NSG. Currently we have the donation bid war going on for this game. It's Pet the Wolf incentive and stop doing infinite jumps. So that's you can donate for that one if you want to see that happen. No donations in at this point on. So
okay.
Yeah.
So here we go. Here is Saucer Sanctuary. So the front door is shut. However, it turns out I know of a side entrance. So let's check this one out. So I'm going to go up here first. And my side entrance is called Breaking In Through the Mountains. Yes, that's right. So with the power of the Katie glitch, if I just repeat the Katie glitch, I could just fly over through the mountains. Here we go. Hi, guys. How are you all doing? Yeah, not too bad. Yeah. So I flew in through the mountains, and that allows me to advance the story. So what I need to do here is we have Mr. Bamboo, and Mr. Bamboo, he needs our help. So we're going to help him out. And how we help him out is we have this digging minigame here. So we need to dig to the very bottom of this well, and then we need to release the water stream so that the Saucer Sanctuary area has water. Nothing too crazy goes on here. If you are doing this minigame yourself, I'd highly recommend using the cherry bomb ability, because with the powered cherry bomb, you can just blow everything up, makes your life a lot easier. And also, if you circle someone, in this minigame, it makes them run a lot faster. If you circle an NPC when you're not in a minigame, they hug Amaterasu. It's so cute. It's so cute. So I'm just saying, if you want to see Amaterasu getting hugged by NPCs, the day should be incredible. But what's incredible right now is the brush powers. They're going to reward me with the next brush technique, which is called water spout. So how it works is I can manipulate water, and then I can manipulate the water in order to advantage me. This is only used for the boss later on. It actually doesn't have much utility. However, the guards of Starter Sanctuary, they've caught onto me breaking in. So I need to escape right here, right now. And the way I'm going to escape is through the mountains. It turns out it is actually faster to escape through the mountains than it is to just leave through the front entrance. So that's not too bad. So now, what you're meant to do is you're meant to go to this, let's see if I can show it. You see there's like this big hill. There we go, that lovely hill. And we'll go all the way up the hill. We go to my next area, called Kusa Village. However, I have a different plan, which is called skipping a third of the game with one little trick. One little trick to skip a third of the game. This is incredible. So here it is. Here is the city checkpoint. You can see that bridge here, this tall bridge. We need to lower that bridge, and that requires doing a bunch of side quests, defeating a bunch of bosses, which we will defeat later, but it's slow to do it now. So I have a different plan instead. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this jump here, and I'm going to jump into the water spring. And so this water current is extremely severe. That's why I'm angling Amaterasu at this 45-degree angle. And it turns out the developers, they made a big mistake, because you can just about get to this rock. There we go. Once you get onto this rock, you can maneuver your way to get to the other side of the bridge. Let's see if I can do it here. There we go. First try. And there we go. I've just completely skipped 1/3 of the game. And you can see behind me, that bridge isn't even loaded in. The game developers, they really don't want you here. And I can head into my next area called Ryoshima Coast. So Ryoshima Coast, this is just another cursed area. And what I need to do is I need to lift the curse. But I'm going to do it in a way that you typically don't see. So instead, I'm going to run into the curse zone. Yes, I'm going to run into the curse zone. Now you can see this is a dark spell. If you stay in this place for too long, Amaterasu will drown from the curse. However, the reason why I went through the curse zone is because down below there was a fight. By going into the curse zone, I can skip the fight. What I just did just there is I did another brush adventure. I clipped my brush out of bounds. And by clipping my brush out of bounds, I can complete this mini game all in one. So you're meant to move the water stream. Oh, there we go. You're meant to move the water stream all the way up to this guardian sapling to make it grow. But it takes a really long time. But what it takes a lot less time is the brush adventure. So here we go. Here's Ryoshima Coast. What am I going to do here? Well, I'm going to... Let's try that again. I need to do this. Here we go. Yes, that's right. I'm going to go under the map. So it turns out in this game, some buildings are loaded underneath the map. And what I can do is I can use this map to tell me where to go. And there we go. So I've just landed, flown in all the way under the map. And I can say hi to the sensei. So this right here, he's the old man. He's going to teach me some tricks. What on earth is he going to teach me? Well, he's going to teach me this trick. And such an incredible trick. I'm so excited to share this with you. Here we go. So it is in Japanese. But it is called double jump. Yes, that's right. Wow. But the question you might be wondering is, if I have an infinite jump glitch, why on earth am I getting double jump? Well, the reason why is because think about this. Every time I need to get an extra jump, I need to go into the fan menu, then I need to switch the current transformer, then I need to leave, then I need to jump. It actually is quite slow. However, if I have double jump, I can jump twice before I have to do the KT glitch again, which is extremely advantageous for me. So right now, I'm meant to head to my left. To my left, there is the big city. It's called Sayard City. It's a very nice city. However, I am going the wrong way. Why am I going the wrong way? Should I turn around? No, I'm not going to turn around. Instead, I'm going to clip underneath the map. So I'm going to enter Sion City through a way you've probably never seen before. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, let's try that again. So what I need to do is I need to run on the side of this staircase. And then what will hopefully happen is I will clip under the staircase. Let's try again. There we go. Beautiful. And so now I'm underneath the map. And with the power decay glitch, I'm going to head towards this well. So this is a side entrance to Sion City. In order to unlock this side entrance normally, what you're meant to do is you're meant to complete most of the second chapter of the game. There's 3 chapters in total, and then you'll be good to go. However, by entering this well right here, I get into this entrance. This is a glitch cutscene. This cutscene is not meant to look like this. I'll go into detail of what that is later on, that bridge that it panoramaed over. There was also a dead body there. I will discuss later on when the story becomes relevant why that's there as well. So here we go. Here's a scary cutscene. In the story, I'm meant to enter that low zone right there. You can see that purplish and white circle thing. Instead, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to give a flashing warning here. There might be a bunch of flashes. Oh. Let's try that again. So what I need to do is the game thinks that I'm later on in the story than I actually am. And because of that, I can't leave that area normally. So there's like an area to the right with the guards. You're meant to leave through there. However, because I'm further on in the story, I just had to use the Katie glitch, just go around. And because you're not actually meant to access that part of the game yet, there's a bunch of like flashes that show. It's just a bit of a visual glitch. So right now, the hoax of the century is being unveiled. So there is this emperor, and you can see all that green mist right there. He's meant to be sick on his deathbed. But by using the Katie glitch, I can go over the wall, and it turns out he's doing just fine. He's in good health. It turns out there was a machine behind him spewing all the green mist. And he's in great health. And he has a reward for me. His reward is the next brush power, which is called Mist Warp. And with the power Mist Warp, this is going to help me teleport between the areas that I go through a lot faster. That's the main reason why I haven't fought a lot of these bosses. Even though I've skipped a bunch of bosses, I could have fought them any time. So I'm going to fight them very soon. Here are the Rao slips. So there is a character that you were meant to meet earlier. We're going to meet her very soon, don't worry. But she's called Rao. And part of the story, we need to go on a side quest with her. We will go on that side quest, just in a different way that the game developers expect. But here we go, here's Rao. Anywhere with that. Hi, Rao. Hi. And so we just need to talk to her a bunch, just to initiate the side quest. Just a bunch of dialogue, there we go. Would you like to help, Rao? Yes, I would. And then we can leave. Now, after I leave, here is the drawbridge. So you can see this bridge is currently lowered. You can see the bridge is lowered. And so what I need to do is, in the story, you're meant to raise the bridge. And to raise the bridge, there's this dude, and he's like really upset. Like he can raise the bridge at any time, but he wants you to do a fishing minigame with him. The fishing minigame is really slow, so I won't be doing it, okay. We're now going to enter Sion City from the wrong entrance. So this glitch cutscene will show up here. You can also notice in the distance, there's this guy, and he's currently red. That's another glitch in this game. When you enter an area incorrectly, and the NPC is too far away, it will load up as a random color. And later on, we'll do the color guessing game, see if you can guess the right color. But right now, I need to get my next brush power. I'm going to get it in a different way than you're meant to. So until the curse is lifted, the house, which I need to get my next brush power from, is unavailable for public access. However, it is available through the underground falling under the map system. So here we go. I'm just going to fall underneath the map. And then, hello, hi, how are you? And he's like, he's confused. Look at him. He's like, did you just come from the floor? Yes, I did. Yes, that's right. So here is my next optional brush power. Here we go. It's going to do a nice little sequence here. Wow. And by drawing an infinity sign, I'll get my next optional brush power, which is called Fire Burst. And so the game developers, they expect you to have already gotten this other brush power called Inferno already. And Inferno allows you to manipulate fire. And what Fire Burst is, it is an optional brush upgrade to Inferno. However, because I sequence broke the game, and thankfully there's no checks, even though I don't have the Inferno brush power, it grants me the optional brush power upgrade called Inferno. So now I can leave Seon City, and the way I left is how I was meant to enter here. However, what I'm also going to do is enter another place in an irregular way. So you see this gate that's shut. You need to do a lot of side quests in Seon City, completely lift the curse, do all this stuff. However, it turns out I can bypass the guards. The guards, they're coming after me right now. This is incredible. But by using the KT glitch, I can just fly over the closed gate and I can enter this next place called Ryushima Coast. Now, here we go. Here's Walker. Hi, Walker. How you doing? So Walker, he is someone in the story which we meet a bunch. We fought him earlier. And what you told me right there is that I was too slow. He told me to my face. It was in Japanese. But the English text says, you took so long here to get here. Because you took so long, I lifted the curse in North Ryushima Coast. It only took me 31 minutes. You know, I tried my best. You know what I'm saying? I did try my best. I really did. So what I'm going to do right now is you're not going to see much of Ryushima Coast. I'm going to leave. So remember when I skipped the first chapter of the game? I need to come back and complete unfinished business. So in order to do that, I'm going to use the Mistwalk brush power. How this works is these save mirrors, which is a place where you save the game. These save mirrors, you can use them to teleport if you get the optional brush power. And what I did is there's an oversight in the game, and to be fair, you can't blame the game developers. But because I entered Ryushima Coast, which is the second chapter of the game, all of the locations in the first chapter of the game are accessible to teleport to. And so you're typically meant to enter an area first before you can teleport. But even though I haven't entered Kusa Village yet, it let me teleport there. So here we go. I spoke to this lady. She's called Princess Fuse. And she was possessed by that demon. The good news is she isn't possessed much longer because that demon has been destroyed. And so this place, it was cursed, but because of this princess, she was possessed. But now she's not possessed anymore. She needs our help. So you see she has like 8 rocks on her. What we need to do is we need to restore the power of the rocks. The way we do this is by going to these dogs and feeding them. So this right here, this is the dog quest. The game developers, they want me to find all of Princess Fuse's dogs and return them back to her. And so the way we return them back to her is we feed the dogs. Some other dogs we fight, we beat up, but these dogs we just feed. So I'm gonna go across here. We have Mr. Bamboo looking into the sky. And the second dog, if I power slash it, boom, bonk this wall. There we go. I think that dog was asleep for quite a while. So we'll just tackle forward and feed the next dog. So now I've fed the second dog. In order to get to the third dog, the game developers, they want you to do a long detour. It takes really long. However, with the power of the KT glitch, I could just jump up like this. Let's see if I can get this. There we go. And then I can do a little brush adventure. And then by rejuvenating that curse patch, you can see Amaterasu, she was about to fall underneath the map. But it teleports me up here, and I can feed the third dog just like that. That saves a bunch of time running all the way up. Then there's a cutscene that plays. You can skip all of that, and it's so majestic. So now I need to feed the fourth and final dog. In order to do this, the game developers expect you to have the vine brush power. You can see that little vine bud right there, that flower. However, With the power of the KT glitch, I could just jump over just like that. When you have the KT glitch, nothing the game throws at you stops me. I mean, I'm a Sun Goddess Wolf at the end of the day. I should be able to do what I want as Sun Goddess Wolf Amaterasu. So here we go. I fed the final dog. And once I've done that, I'm now summoned back to Princess Fusée. And Princess Fusée, she has a little surprise for me. Now, this entire time, as I've been playing this game, there has been an assistant on my back. He's called Isun. He's a little bug, and he's essentially our communicator. So when it looks like Amaterasu speaking to someone, that's actually Isun communicating on Amaterasu's behalf. So here we go, this dog. Oh, he looks a little bit unhappy. Look at that guy. He's called Tay, and he wants to fight me. He wants to fight Sun Goddess Wolf Amaterasu. Bring it on, please. Let's bring it on. And here we go. And the poor dead dog. No dog has died quicker than Mr. Tay. And then Princess Fusée, she breaks up the fight, and we can advance onwards. So now I'm finally going to enter the first major dungeon in this game. This is called Gale Shrine. So Gale Shrine, once I enter it, I'll reveal more details about the place. But I'm going to do a massive glitch, and this is a massive glitch. Okay, so here we go. So inside the Gale Shrine, we have a little tunnel that we can access, but the main entrance is locked. So you can see that like red stuff, the main entrance is locked. You'd think we could use the KT glitch to go around, but the game developers actually thought that. They don't let us do it. So instead, I'm doing this glitch. See if I can get it. Okay. Let's try that again. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to jump on the first frame I enter Gale Shrine. And if I do that, I can then start a glitch. Okay, I didn't get it. And I can hear, if I don't get it, I hear there's a footstep. This is RNG. It's a 50% chance, but it is RNG at the end of the day. Let's try again. Okay, haven't got it. Now, I would like to give you a funny story while I try to get this. So before the run began, the power button on my PS3 stopped working. Now, the reason why that's relevant is because I use this device called a Cronus Max. And the speedrun rules, they allow you to use this device called Cronus Max. Oh, this is incredible, wow. They allow you to use this device called Cronus Max, and it allows you to mash the X button for me. So it would just help with the mashing. However, when I use that device, my PS3 console won't turn on because I can't use the power button. So instead, oh my goodness, wow. This is taking quite a while. If this takes too long, I will plug in that Cronus because the PS3 is already on. There we go. I got it before Christmas. Wow, this is incredible. So that is 50% chance. I think that took 7 attempts. So that is not the best RNG, but that's okay. So once you jump on the first frame, you enter Gale Shrine, your respawn location doesn't update. And so what we can do is I can void out of bounds, and by voiding out of bounds, because my respawn location hasn't updated, it teleports me to the center of the map. And conveniently, the center of the map completely skips, that front entrance being shut, not a problem, and that's really great. Now I'm in an elevator, and going up the elevator, the first half, it was faster with the cherry bomb. However, the second half right here, this is actually faster with the KT glitch. So just a reminder, the KT glitch is a frame perfect glitch. However, when you spend so much time on this game, you are able to do it just fine. I'm now going to showcase the BKT glitch. So let's just do it right here. So this is the BKT glitch. So how that works, this is a double frame perfect glitch. How it works, on the first frame, after exiting the fan menu, you hit a frame perfect bark input. Then exactly 10 frames after the bark input, you hit a second frame perfect ground tackle input, and then you jump from that ground tackle. Throughout the speedrun, just for the fun of it, I might just start doing the BKT glitch in a bunch of areas. It is good fun, and when you chain the BKT glitch a bunch of times, and you have to chain it like a good 10, 20 times in some areas of the game, it's so rewarding. What's more rewarding is the sky is blue. Yes, that's right. Why is the sky blue? Well, the boss in this dungeon, Crimson Hell, he was making the sky grey. However, by getting to the top of this platform and reversing his winds, the sky is restored, and that windmill in the background, it is now blowing again. So the air in Kusa Village is nice and clean. That's great. The game is now going to show me a tutorial on how to use my next Brush Power Gale Storm. Weirdly enough, I already know how to use Gale Storm Brush Power. That's really weird. It's like I've played this game before. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to use the KT glitch again. I'm going to use that KT glitch to head to the first boss fight. Oh my goodness, wow, this is incredible. So what the game wants you to do, oh, there's a fly on me. What the game wants you to do is use these wind platforms, climb all the way to the top, and do this like long-winded jumping. But with the power of the KT glitch, I did a BKT there, but with the power of the KT glitch, I could just jump up there, skip that entire minigame. So here we go. This is so scary, the first boss fight in Okami. I'm actually a little bit nervous for this one. But let's see, I've played this game a lot. I think I should be fine, let's see. So here we go. From earlier, remember Princess Fuse, she had her 8 stones on her. Right, here we go. Let's first of all defeat this fight. And yeah. So this fight is kind of trivial. I was trolling earlier. But Princess Fuse, you needed to complete the dog quest to get all of her 8 stones back in action. However, I only fed 4 of the dogs. You only need to feed 4, and then with the power of the Origin Warp, I can skip those other 4. But the game developers, they expect you to have all 8 stones. That's why all of them are lit up. Now remember Susano earlier? He was the angry man in the cave. Well, he needs our help because he's going to kill Crimson Hell once and for all. So by using the Gale Storm, he builds up a ton of speed and he slices that dude in half. So there we go, the first real boss fight in Okami. Wow, incredible. So now I'm going to leave the Great Gale Shrine and I'm going to head towards my next area called Agata Forest. So we were in Agata Forest earlier on in the speedrun. However, what we did is when we were in Agata Forest, we just left immediately. The good news is we're heading back to Agata Forest. We're going to say hi to all the people, and we're actually going to do all of our objectives in this area. So right now, I do need to leave Kusa Village. It's a bit of a trek, so I'll give you some fun facts. Inside of the any % speedrun, it is actually faster not to save the princess. Because if you don't save the princess, those curse symbols show up. And while those curse symbols show up, your respawn location does not update. And by doing that, you can teleport to the beginning of Kusa Village, where I've just shown up right here, and that saves that long trek. So now let's head to the Great Agata Forest. I'm so excited, wow. I've been really looking forward to going to Agata Forest. Let's find out what's going on here. Okay, so inside of Agata Forest, first of all, we need to get to our next area. So this is at the top of Agata Forest. So I'm just going to jump up here, run around, and we're going to meet our next character, which is called Kushi. So she is the wife of the angry man in the cave, and she needs a help filling up her little tub here. And what she's going to do is there's a festival coming up. She's going to create some sake, which is alcohol, and you know, once a year, the festival appears and everyone has a good time. However, all these evil spirits have showed up, but Susano's here to save the day. However, he can't save the day on his own. He would die from these imps, these enemies, if Amaterasu with her brush power didn't help him out. So we go, just one more enemy while Susano's looking at his swords. Even he can't believe he's doing this. This is so crazy. But I'm going to slice up the final boss. And now our calling has appeared. So we've sequence break the story a bunch, and by sequence breaking the story, we can do a glitch. So further on, there is a dungeon called Suit of Ruins. It's right in front of me. In order to enter Suit of Ruins, you need to help this boy do a fishing minigame. However, we need to do another fishing minigame. But because we didn't do the first one, the first and second fishing minigame will load up at the exact same time. And the good news is, we got the easier minigame out of the two. So this is a trivial minigame. It's extremely quick to do. And by completing this minigame, we actually, the game developers will just complete both minigames at the same time. And it's very advantageous for us. So how this fishing minigame works is, you can see there's fish, and we need to collect them up. So the first step is I need to use Amaterasu's brush to create a rod to hook onto the fish. Then I just use my joystick, and I just move my joystick the opposite direction of the fish, and then I power slash the fish in order to bring them up. So we have just one more fish here. And the reason why it's great when the first fishing minigame loads up is because this big fish here only takes one hook to reveal himself. So once I press the button and I power slash him, immediately the boy can hook him up. Now, if the second fishing minigame were to load, the fish is like moving a lot quicker, the minigame's a lot harder, it takes multiple attempts to hook him up, and so I'm happy I got the first one. But now the brush, because they were watching in the background, and they were so excited that I glitched the game that they gave me the next brush power, which is Crescent. So how Crescent works is at any time I can now draw the moon in the sky. And what's really wild about how I've been playing this game is I'm Sun Goddess Amaterasu, but I don't have the sunrise brush power, so I cannot draw the sun. However, Sun Goddess Amaterasu, she can draw the moon. So now I need to enter Suit of Ruins. I got that key. That key appears when you complete the first fishing minigame, but I don't need the key because of the power decayed glitch. I could just jump over the front entrance. If you just use the key, it plays a long cutscene, and that's not great. Here is Suit of Ruins. You won't be seeing much of Suit of Ruins because immediately I'm going to clip out of bounds. And for the fun of it, I'm going to start doing the double frame perfect BKT glitch in order to get to my next area. So this skip, this allows me to, that clip allows me to skip the entire first half of the game. It's really great. And I just have a couple of demon gates here, nothing too crazy. Now, with all my items, with the exorcism slips, these fights, they're gonna be taken down relatively quickly. Nothing too crazy is taking place here. However, the final fight in these demon gates, I actually have to use my brain to defeat them. Wow, this is crazy. And don't worry, later on in the run, there'll actually be some tough fights as well. So this ogre right here, he doesn't die to the exorcism slip. So instead, I need to circle him, and I need to time this slam, there we go. And then by blooming him, that kills him quicker. So I do have a sword on my back, but I'm only going to use it twice in this speedrun, and that's the first time I use it. Now let's see, can I get this? So I'm going to draw a circle. I'm going to try this. Oh my goodness, that is incredible. So what on earth did I just do? Because it kind of looked like I did nothing. Well, after you draw that circle in the sky, it plays a cutscene. Now, on its own, that doesn't sound too crazy because we've been playing lots of cutscenes and I've been skipping them. However, this cutscene is a 15 seconds unskippable cutscene. You just have to sit and watch it, and it just shows some mushrooms growing. However, you have one frame, and one frame only, to hit the start button, and if you do it perfectly, you can skip the cutscene. It's an oversight by the game developers, and I got it, which is quite rewarding, especially when that origin warp earlier took a good 7 attempts. So, by drawing the sun, by doing those demon gates, I've cleared up the water, because earlier the water was poison. You wouldn't have seen the poison because I skipped most of the dungeon. But after clearing up the water, after clearing up all of the grass patches, all the Mother Nature, the brush gods, they're going to reward me with the next brush technique, which is called Vine. Now, Vine is used to grapple onto flowers. However, later on, you will see an insane glitch that can be done with Vine, and it's so awesome to watch. But first, I need to head to Spider Queen, yes. So I'm gonna try and do this precise brush setup, there we go. By pushing your brush right next to the wall, you can allow that vine, which is far further away, you can connect to it. The game developers don't want you to do that. Instead, they want you to watch a long cutscene, which is unskippable. And thankfully, I got that trick. So by connecting all the vines into this lid, we can open up the lids and we can say hello to the next boss, which is Spider Queen. Yes, arachnophobia warning. This is crazy, wow. Big scary spider on the way. And we have this long tunnel, this long suspenseful tunnel. Wow, I'm so scared. I really am so scared. And the big doors, the Spider Queen opens. And Eason's asks, are you sure you want to go through? Yes, I'm sure, Eason. Yes, I will. Now, I'm actually going to jump around that golden gate. That golden gate, if you run through it, it plays like a little cutscene. It's used if you die, you can just load back to the gate. So here is Spider Queen. You're meant to do a long running sequence to connect the vines to the back. However, I can just manipulate the brush to do it quickly. And then she dies. No, Spider Queen, no. If you don't like spiders, I'm sure that was really rewarding. So now I've left the Suit of Ruins, and the game developers, they want us to finish repairing the bridge. However, you may remember earlier, I jumped over the broken bridge, so I don't want to repair it. It's a long minigame. Instead, I'm gonna do the most rewarding glitch in Okami HD. Here we go. So I connect to this vine, and then by switching my comic transformer in the air, I get super speed. Here we go. And with the power of super speed, I can quickly go into this save mirror, and I can advance the story further. So a lot of this speedrun is is skipping a bunch of parts of the game and then backtracking later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head back to Rishima Coast. I was here earlier and then I left immediately. The reason why I enter an area and just leave it immediately is because if you enter an area, it allows you to teleport to it with Mist Warp, and that's what I needed to do. So now inside of the Rishima Coast, we need to get to work. There's some bullies. Oh, they're bullying the little boy. So we just fended off the bullies there. And now, by drawing a circle in the air, we can have Orca appear. So you might have noticed something. If you didn't notice, I'm going to help you notice right now. I don't have the sun brush power. Yeah, I'm drawing sun in the air, and it is, yeah, the sun is working. So the reason why that happens is I actually don't have the sun brush power. If I were to just draw the sun right now, it wouldn't do anything. However, there are some scripted events in the game where if you just draw a circle, it will run the script, and they don't actually check if you have the sunrise brush power, which is really useful for the sake of the speedrun. So I've entered the Watcher's Cape right here. You typically need to get the Catcall brush power, but get ready for this. You know what Catcall does? It gives you extra jumps on some walls, and you might have noticed, but I happen to have unlimited jumps, so that's not too bad. By talking to that Watcher right there, he has the ability to summon an entire galaxy. Yes, that's right, he can do it. And with the power of the brush, I can draw the winds, I can keep on drawing it, and I can spin the galaxy, and by spinning the galaxy, it opens up this whirlpool right here. So this is a story element. We need to open up this whirlpool to advance the game. So I'm just going to go back to Orca. I positioned Orca in a specific spot because Orca will despawn if you're too far away. And so what I did is by positioning Orca right by that wall, I can go in, I can spin the galaxy, and then Orca's waiting for me right here, and I can advance onwards. If Orca despawns, you have to go back to where you first met Orca, and it's a bit of a trek. So here we go, here is the Dragon Palace. Wow, I'm so excited. So this is the underwater cave of the Dragonians. Now the reason why I'm here is because something tragic has happened. The husband of the wife of the dragon. Let's try that again. The wife, the husband of the queen of the Dragonians, he has been possessed by evil demons. So what we're meant to do is we're meant to talk to her, and then once we talk to her, she'll give us a key, then we can enter this room, and then we can go inside the dragon. What I did is by going underneath the map, went over the map, went underneath, then went straight into the dragon's mouth. What that does, I'm just gonna check real quick. Do I have? Yes, I do. What that does is it allows me to skip all these cutscenes, skip talking to the queen, and that's really great. And what's even incredible is this glitch right here. So this is a dungeon where we run to the end, we do some events, run back. I'm going to complete this entire dungeon without updating my respawn location, and that will allow us to do an incredible glitch. So how this works is if you swap your current transformer while you're right next to the ground, Amaterasu's respawn location doesn't update. So what I did is I started running at the entrance of the map just to make sure my respawn location is at the entrance. And then I've just been using these karmic transformers. As I jump, I need to just do it again. Hit the karmic transformer glitch. And I have just gone through this entire dungeon without updating the respawn location. Now there's this key blocking the entrance to this orb. And so all you're meant to do is find a key, open the next area. You're then meant to release acid, and then that acid is meant to release the orb. So instead of doing all that, I'm doing two glitches at once. The first thing is the game developers didn't expect you to use that water stream in order to release the orb, and so I can skip releasing the acid, which saves a lot of time. The second glitch I did is by positioning your camera in the right way, you can push that water behind the lockjaw by positioning your water, by using your brush power and then using the brush to get past that lockjaw. You can teleport right past the lock, and that's extremely advantageous. But here we go. Oh my goodness, after releasing the water orb, the dragon is bleeding out, and I need to kill Amaterasu, so I really do need to do it. Now in the regular story, you shouldn't be doing this. However, this allows me to finish the glitch that I was doing earlier. So by killing Amaterasu, she's going to use this thing called Astral Pouch. This revives her. And because I did not update my respawn location, I do a glitch where instead of running all the way back, I can teleport to the beginning of the dungeon and I can leave it immediately, and that saves an extreme amount of time. So now I've just killed the husband of the Dragon Queen. So I should probably go speak to her, let her know, tell her the bad news, see what else is going on. Another thing that happened as well is this lady Rao, we saw her earlier for a brief moment. She said hi to us, and we gave her something called the foxtrots. So let's just go talk to the queen right here, see what else is going on. And it turns out things aren't looking too good. The music's really suspense. Something scary went down. Oh, so what actually went down? Because I skipped the cutscene, so you didn't see it. Well, we saw a live stream. Yes, that's right, a twitch.tv live stream. Twitch.tv/NSGmarathon. But real talk, we saw a video in ancient Japan, and it showed Rao being attacked by this fox with 9 tails. And so Rao, we just gave her this thing called foxtrots, and these are an extremely powerful tool. But she's just been attacked, so we need to investigate what on earth is going on. This is quite scary. The second thing as well is we gave the Dragon Queen this thing called Water Orb, and we will see the Water Orb later on. So at the moment, I'm doing this long trek, and there's actually a tip that the 0.1% of Okami players know. Spoiler alert. If you hold down the R2 button, or Z or RT in Okami, you actually go faster. Yes, that's right, you will go faster if you hold down the RT button. So that's really awesome. I'm now going to try and skip this fight. There we go, that's good. By running down that slope and then doing the bunny hop, that helps me just move a lot faster. However, if you run down that slope too much, you'll hit a fight, and we don't want to do that. So I'm going to go to my left. I'm on a time pressure. Instead, I'm not doing that. I'm going to sequence break the game. So let's see, can I pull this off? There we go, excellent. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna head to this place called the Sunken Ship. So how Sunken Ship works is you can see the ship is sunken. However, if we draw the crescent, like the moon in a precise spot, what we can do is the water is lowered. But what we can do instead, there we go, good. What we can do instead is we can clip inside the ship. I stopped talking there because I had to concentrate. That clip is kind of tough. And you know, you can actually soft lock if you like mess it up too badly. But thankfully, everything was okay. So here we go. Here's Rao. By the way, Rao just died in the story, but it turns out she hasn't died. The hoax has been finally uncovered. So we were meant to do the Sunken Ship dungeon way earlier on in the story. However, because we're doing it just now, Rao technically hasn't died. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to completely sequence break the Sunken Ship. I used a brush adventure to clip my brush out of bounds. By clipping my brush out of bounds, what I can do is I can raise the water using the sun. And by raising the water, this allows me to go outside of this dungeon. And then I'm going to use the power of the Katie glitch. And I'm just going to just head straight to the end. Head straight to the end of the dungeon. Now, spooky warning. A bunch of the bosses that we have killed, or the bosses that we were meant to kill and haven't killed yet, they're going to show up. These little spirits here, scary, scary. So if you are easily scared, just watch out. I mean, look at that. There we go. That's a boss I haven't defeated yet. I will defeat him soon. But he's mad. He's mad. He's like, please, why did you skip me? Please, why? So right here, this is the item that we came into the Sunken Ship for. This is called the Lucky Mallet. And so with the Lucky Mallet, this allows us to get really small. When Amaterasu is small, we can use it in order to defeat another boss later on. But first, wrap your head around this. We just killed the water dragon. However, it turns out the whole thing was a hoax. Because it is the water dragon, he has resurrected himself from the dead, and he wants vengeance. And I'm gonna swim right into his body, and he's gonna just kill me. So what actually happened there is, again, because we weren't meant to do the Sunken Ship right now, we were meant to do it way earlier. In that part of the story, the water dragon's alive, so he just shows up. Even though we killed him, he will load in. Now the game is in a glitch state. So the suspenseful music is meant to play, and the Lucky Mallet is taking me towards Seon City. They want me to go into Seon, and then, you know, go the normal way into the next boss, which is called Blight, inside the Imperial Palace. But what we're going to do instead is we're going to activate the well. So earlier on, I went underneath the map to go to this well. However, the front entrance of the well will open if you kill the water dragon. After you kill the water dragon, the dead body of Rao. There we go, that's Rao, she died. She died long, long ago. But what you can do is once that cutscene plays, that front entrance for the well opens, and it's still faster to play that cutscene than it is to go underneath the map. So now what I used to do is I used to skip from earlier. I don't know if you remember this one. So flashing warning if you're easily like sensitive to lights. Just close your eyes for a couple seconds. There we go, now you can open it up again. And so what I'm going to do this time is I'm now going to enter the Imperial Palace. So remember the Emperor earlier, we saw it was all a big hoax. He's doing just fine. That was because of a glitch, all right? So you see those front gates are shut. The game developers, they don't expect you to go over the gate. And so when you actually save the Emperor, the gates open. So they just leave a model of the Emperor just always there. And now we can enter the Imperial Palace the legit way. And here we go. So the Lucky Mallet shrank Amaterasu into a little tiny spider size. And so Isun, which is that dude who was on Amaterasu, you couldn't see him because he was so tiny. But now you can see Isun is the same size as us. Now, inside of the Imperial Palace, we are meant to get the mist brush power, and then we're meant to go do all this running and do all this stuff. However, it turns out I have a different plan. So with the power Katie glitch, I'm going to go out of bounds, and I'm just going to Katie towards the load zone for the Blight Boss fight. So to make this spicier, I might start doing the BKT glitch, just the first thing is I do need to find that load zone. There we go, there's a load zone. And so just a reminder, the BKT glitch, this is a double frame perfect glitch. Every time I get an extra jump in, that is double frame perfect. And so I'm just making my way here into this box. You can see there are a ton of boxes. And so how this game works is certain parts of the map, they just loaded in underneath the map. All right, so you have the main entrance, but far away, all these parts, they just put underneath the map. And then sometimes when you enter a load zone, it loads in an entirely new area. However, other times, what it will do is instead it will just teleport you, into these little boxes further down. And so, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the KT glitch just to get to this last box here. It is actually faster to use the KT glitch to get to this final box than it is to, use just to do the normal way. Even though this does take a little bit of time, you can see this box is quite far away. I'm just going to do a buffered KT here. There we go. So if you ever considered speedrunning Okami yourself, there's this thing called buffered KT. How that works is right after you swap your Karmic Transformer and you hit the ground tackle input, you pause the game right after, and then you could just check if you actually got the frame perfect input, because it does have a queue. And if you got the frame perfect input, you can unpause and then get that infinite jump. So the wait is almost over. There we go, here we go. I'm just gonna land at this out of bounds low zone. Just like that. I'm going to continue. Excellent. I was actually a little bit scared there, because if I selected the wrong option, what Easton says is, do we want to go and fight Blight? If I selected no, in that case, I did a backup, so it wouldn't have lost too much time. But if you do the fastest way possible, you are currently falling underneath the map. And so what would have happened is I would have teleported to the start of Imperial Palace, and I would have had to done all that again. So here is Blight. This boss fight is a little bit scarier than the other ones. We are meant to have the mist brush power in order to defeat this boss. However, what we can do instead is if we wait long enough, he does this attack where all of his swords are revealed, including the swords that currently possesses all of his power. And by power slashing that sword, we don't need to use the mist brush power. Instead, we can just kill him right away. So right now, we are controlling the Emperor. The Emperor, he was possessed by Blight. He's not anymore. And so I'm just nudging the analog stick. If you just nudge him like that, it's a lot faster than going like this. You can see he's going like this. So we're currently controlling the Emperor. I'm going to free this lady. And once I've done that, Blight is now officially dead. And the great news is the curse of Seon City has been completely lifted. All of the people there, they're back to normal. Because the curse, it was debilitating. They couldn't even stand up. Inside of the 80% speedrun, you never save the people of Seon City. They are left to rot. They are left to die. So it's nice that we finally save those individuals. Now we have this rocket ship lady. So she is the daughter of this individual we met a couple times, who is called Mr. Bamboo. And so, we need to work with the daughter. We need to help that lady get on the rocket ship. However, that is very slow. So instead, we're not going to do any of that. We're going to skip all of it. How do we skip all of it? Well, the answer is inside of this palace. So this is Queenie Miko's palace. Say hello to Queenie Miko Palace. Don't worry about that lady on there that's knocked out on the floor. Because Queenie Miko, she's an incredibly smart lady. She has the best security in the world. And the reason why she has the best security in the world is because she has filled her palace with lava. Yes, she's done it. Wow, this is incredible. And so what that is doing is it's meant to prevent any demons, any enemies from getting across. We are not allowed to cross that lava area normally. By helping the rocket lady, we get this tablet called Fire Tablet. That allows us to swim on lava. But with the power of the KT glitch, I can just jump over, skip that entire thing. So it turns out the Rao lady that we saw earlier, we were working with her. This entire time, Rao was killed by a fox with 9 tails. And because she was killed by a fox with 9 tails, she was trying to get us killed. So we went into the sunken ship. She was trying to kill us there. She's been trying to kill us the entire time. So we had a little fight there, beat her up, and we now know that Ninetales, this is the boss, that's the fox with 9 tails. Our objective is we need to head to Ninetales' lair as quickly as possible. Even though Queenie Miko there, she was dead. Okay, she did die. Even though she had a floor of lava, she did die due to Ninetales. Our final breath, she said, this island is called Oni Island. Only for the next 5 minutes is it available. If we don't head to Oni Islands before nighttime, then the island goes away. Ninetales will rule over Rishima Coast forever. So this is quite important. We have to get there as quickly as possible. So now I'm going to go through the Rouse house again. You can actually skip going through this house. However, the skip only saves 2 seconds. So that's not too bad. Now the game is going to be a little bit buggy. So the bridge is meant to be raised, but it's still not. So we have this glitched bridge. Thankfully, it still functions. We can go up because we cannot KT in the air when we're over water. So if the bridge didn't have collision, that would have been quite problematic. We are now just heading all the way into the scary Oni Islands. And look at all these residents. They are actually walking now. The curse has been lifted. This is so incredible. On my way. The music is so intense. Now, a trick that Okami runners used to do before the bunny hop was discovered. A trick that Okami runners used to do is called the balk. So how this works is there is the circle button, and when you click it, you hear that? Amaterasu starts barking. And so you can't bark while you're in the air unless you do the BKT glitch. And so just to pass by time, you will just hit the bark button and you will time it with the music. So it sounds a bit like this. There we go, incredible. Unfortunately, my current transformer that I had has the worst barking sound of them all. But, I mean, look at this. Oof, so much better. I'm now going to skip a fight by jumping to the sea and then jumping across. That is one of the easiest fight skips in the game. You could do it yourself. If you load it up Okami, you do it yourself. So now we're going to meet the queen of the Dragonians. And she's going to turn into a full-on dragon. And she's going to pierce the barrier of Oni Islands. Only she could do it. And now we can slowly make our way into this island. I mean, look how scary that Oni Island is. I'm going to stop bunny hopping so you can take a good look. Wow. So scary. But what's even scarier is this next skip. Can I get it? No. Okay. My mashing, I know what's been wrong with my mashing today. So that, remember earlier when I was in the Gale Shrine, I was trying to jump on the first frame. And by jumping on the first frame, you enter the Gale Shrine. Your respawn location isn't updated, and then you can do the Origin Warp. Well, the same thing applies in Oni Island. But unlike Gale Shrine, where you have to do the Origin Warp in order to advance, the good news is in Oni Island, the Origin Warp only saves 15 seconds. Now I'm going to do a glitch. I'll try it 3 times. If I can't get it, then it's all right. What this is remember that vine speed from earlier? When you do the KT glitch out of a vine, you get extreme speed. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to do that, and by doing that, I'm going to be able to zoom right through the first half of the dungeon. Now, this doesn't actually save that much time than just running across normally. It only saves a good, literally 5 seconds. However, for the sake of showcasing this glitch, I think it is worth it. So let's try it again. So I connect to the vine. And then I try the KT glitch. All right, let's try one more time. There we go. And there we go, just like that. And you can see I have super speed right now, and I can use that to climb across the entire mountain. So the game developers, they did a massive oversight, and I really mean a massive oversight. The entire side of Oni Island is solid. If it wasn't solid, and it was just invisible wall, because there's water below, we wouldn't be able to get here. However, they also have another oversight, which is that the next brush technique happens to be out in the open here. And so I can just rejuvenate this dude's sword, and after I rejuvenate this dude's sword, I have just skipped the first half of Oni Island. What the game developers expected you to do was go into the main building of Oni Island. You're meant to race this piece of paper, literal piece of paper called Toby, do a bunch of mini games, and then you can get the brush power. But because the outside of the map is fully solid, I can skip all of that. Another thing too is you don't even need the KT glitch to do that skip. You could do that in a new game save file, and it's a really rewarding skip to do. However, we do need to complete the second half of Oni Islands. I'm going to do a KT glitch here, and that just allows me to skip that floor right there. And here is the 2D section. So the thing about Okami is it isn't really made for 2D. So the physics are a little bit janky, but my objective is there is this spinning wheel with these bamboo sticks. I need to get back to this area before it spins too much. So let's see if I can do it. If it spins too much, then you will lose about 10 to 15 seconds. You just have to wait for it to just spin another cycle. I think I got it here. Let's see. There we go, just like that. If you couldn't slide down those bamboos in time, then you just have to wait for it to spin. And now once I put that key in, we have... I was going to call this the best part. This is not the best part. But we have a bunch of cogs coming up, and we need to jump perfectly in order to jump through all the cogs without wasting any time. So let's see if I can get this. This is very rewarding if you can do it. So let's go. There we go, first try, just like that. So those spinning cogs, what you're meant to do is you're meant to jump up one, wait a couple seconds, jump up the second one, and you just have to wait for them to spin a bunch. However, if you time your jumps almost perfectly, you can just jump up that entire thing first try. Now I'm going to do a big skip. So I'm going to align myself with this little pot in the background. And let's see if I can do this. So I'm going to connect to a vine. Once I connect to the vine, it's going to push me out of bounds. I'm then going to cut the vine. I'm then going to tackle. And now I'm clipped into this wall. And then I'm going to connect to the vine. Let's see if I can do it first try. There we go. I did it first try. And what that does is it does a couple things. Number one, I skip a lot of the mini games with Toby. Number two, if you complete all of the mini games with Toby after the final one, that piece of paper dies. He dies, and it's actually kind of sad. However, by doing that skip, Toby survives. He would never die. It's so incredible to see. And we now have the first boss fight, which actually requires processing power in the brain to do. So here it is. Here is Ninetales. Ninetales is a fake god. I had to complete the constellation, and then the boss fight begins. So first of all, I'm going to run in a precise way. Okay, I got away with it. You're meant to run in a precise way just enough so that you use your beads to hit Ninetales without Ninetales attacking you. Thankfully, I got lucky there. Ninetales didn't attack me at all. And so how this works is, I'll explain it for the second one. Use the beads, lightning, and then Ninetales splits all into these Rao pieces. I then need to target one specific version of Rao. I kill that version with the sword because that one has extra HP. I'm now going to do this precise jump. Let's see if I got it. Let's see if I got it. If Ninetales instantly dies, I got it. There we go, excellent. So how this works is the final phase of Ninetales. She just runs, she charges at you, and it takes quite a while to get close up to her in order to kill her immediately. However, if Amaterasu's position in the air is in a certain way, then you can just immediately use the beads and she will die immediately. And thankfully, I did get that skip. So this is incredible news. I've completed the first chapter of this game. I've completed the second chapter of this game. So what will I be doing next? Well, I'll be doing the third and final chapter. So let's head out of here. I'm going to use the Mist Warp just to get faster to Shinshu Field. There are multiple ways to teleport in this game. You do have the Mist Warp option. However, the thing about Mist Warp is it does require 80 Demon Fangs. Demon Fangs are something you collect when you kill enemies, and then you use a certain finishing move on those said enemies. So it does take quite a while to get. 80 is quite a lot. Instead, we won't be doing that. So what I'm going to do is I could enter the third chapter, but it turns out there's a man waiting for me, and he's called Orochi. So I want to say hi to Orochi. In that movie, the very beginning of the speedrun, it spoke about this 8-headed serpent that cursed the land of ancient Nippon. That 8-headed serpent is Orochi. So finally, bring it on, Orochi. I'm ready for this battle. We're going to enter the Orochi arena in a way that you've probably never seen before. So what you're expected to do is you're meant to go back to this place called Kamiki Village. After you go to Kamiki Village, then you talk to the villagers. They find out Orochi has been reborn, and then it's just then you have to run back here to remove the seal on the entrance. So you can see all that purple stuff. That is the seal on the entrance. However, with the power of the Katie glitch, I could just jump over, and very conveniently, very kindly, the load zone for Orochi just happens to be over this invisible wall. So let's see, can I get over it? There we go. Now I'm going to do a second skip. And this skip, I really mean it when I say, if I mess this up, it's not that hard to be honest. But if I mess it up, I do lose 20 minutes. So I would like to not mess this up. So how this works is the bridge is broken. You can see the bridge is broken. Isun says, try and jump over the bridge. However, they put an invisible wall, so you don't jump over the invisible wall, bridge, and you enter a load zone. Okay, thank God I got it. You enter a low zone, which puts you into the calcified cavern. This is like the basement of the moon cave. And once you enter there, you have to spend 20 minutes collecting ingredients for Orochi and doing all this stuff. However, if you have double jump, you can jump far enough so that you get past that low zone. And now we're completely underneath the map. So once we are underneath the map, there's an oversight. This is one big of an oversight. So it turns out the arena that Orochi is located in is the exact same map as where we enter the moon cave. And so with the Katie glitch, I can just go all the way across to the other side of the moon cave. This saves a good 20 minutes, and then I can start the Orochi boss fight. So here we go, I'm gonna go here. You have this massive long staircase. However, I can do a precise set of Katie glitches to skip a bunch of it. So there are invisible walls that prevent you from, just going all the way up. But what I'm gonna do is if I jump in certain spots, I can avoid those invisible walls. I can get to the boss fight quicker. So here we go. Let's see if I did it. Whoa, one more. And there we go. I can begin the fight. Amateur Arsenal's in free fall there. But here's Orochi. This fight there's a lot of moving parts here. So first of all, I'm going to do a glitch to save a bunch of time. So I'm going to lower this earth head. When you lower this earth head, there's a glitch where multiple heads can attack you at once. How this fight works, one head attacks you, the head roars, then you're meant to put in sake, which is alcohol, to make each head drunk one by one. However, using the earth head, I got the fire head attacking at the same time. By doing this, I make the fire head drunk. By making the fire head drunk, I can now set up for this next skip. So because Orochi, the earth head, is down, multiple heads can attack me. I need 3 heads fully drunk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that to make all 3 heads attack me at the same time. Then I can make all 3 heads drunk at the same time. And I'll just do that again. So you need to make each head drunk twice. So just one more time. There we go. Now the reason why I made that fire head drunk the first time, you'd think, well, why not just make the earth head drunk immediately? Well, if you do that, then you can't use that earth glitch where you have multiple heads going down at once. Now check this one out. I'm loading up, and here comes the second and final phase of Orochi. The final battle between Orochi is finally, oh my goodness. And Orochi gets executed live on Twitch. This is crazy. So, how that works, and that might be honestly the most wonderful glitch ever, but how that works is later on in the game, you can get this upgrade from the dojo, which is the dude who I visited to get the double jump technique. But you can get a technique that allows you to equip both your primary and secondary bees at the same time. And then there's another upgrade to the dojo, which lets you fire infinite beats. And so it turns out in ancient Japan, using those 2 dojo upgrades, you can get an assault rifle, and you can use that to destroy Orochi. What you're meant to do normally, microphone working? So what you're meant to do in a normal fight is, on the second phase, you make each head drunk again. Once you make each head drunk again, then you wait for them to go down, and you just attack, attack, attack. It's a very long fight. It takes 40 seconds. What I did is I just completed that boss fight in 10 seconds instead. So now we gotta leave Kamiki Village, but we need to leave it in a very specific way. We were meant to enter Kamiki Village in order to get permission, in order to enter the Orochi lair, but because I didn't do that, if I just leave and mist-warp, teleport straight out of Orochi's lair, the day won't begin, and it'll be stuck at night, and that will cause issues later on. So what I did is I played the cutscene of all the villagers getting mad because Orochi is back. Even though I just killed Orochi, that cutscene still plays. Then I mist-warp into Shinshu Field. If you mist-warp anywhere else, the day-night cycle is completely stuck at night. So now I have some surprise. So are you saying something to me in the mic? Well, if someone's communicating to me in the mic, it is very quiet. Just letting you know. But now I can go to the 3rd and the final chapter in Okami. And the great, incredible news, this is so hard to believe, but I will actually be playing this game in chronological order from now on. Yes, that's right. You heard it, chronological order. So once that gate is opened, that entrance, we have this long tunnel here. Now, thankfully, the game developers, we just put these low zones here just to make the running a little bit shorter. And once we go across this big tunnel, we're going to see our next location, which is Kamui. Here we go. Ready, check it out. Here's Kamui. And so this is the far north. We're in the mountains, a nice snowy area. Kind of like Norway, to be honest. But inside of Kamui, there's this dude. He's called Oki. We're meant to, liaise with him. However, I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to go underneath the map, and I'm going to do a glitch to bloom this guardian sapling when I'm not meant to. So what you're meant to do is you're meant to use the lightning brush power to blow up the rock that is covering the guardian sapling. But by going over the map, out of bounds, the tree can be bloomed underneath the map as long as your camera is close enough to it. So there we go, using the underneath the map, I'm able to bloom Kamui. And I'm going to set up for this next trick. So I need to move Amaterasu in a certain way. This might not work first try. I need to move Amaterasu in a certain way so this bud opens. Okay, excellent, it worked first try. This bud typically isn't meant to be opened, but if you move in a very specific way, it will let you open it. I'm now going to use the vine speed, like this, to go around, and I'm going to skip a fight. Now that fight is actually a soft lock. If you hit the fight trigger, game over, you will not be able to continue the speedrun. I'm now going to use my vine speed to get over this big wall. There we go. Oh, let's do one more. There we go. Oh, excellent. Oh, and now what I can do is I can enter the next place, which is Yoshpet. So you want to notice there was that big wall blocking the Yoshpet entrance. That wall goes away only after you do a ton of side quests. The side quests in question are, there's this old angry man. You're meant to deal with him, you're meant to talk with him, negotiate with him, and then you need to get permission from this other lady called Tuskel in order to enter here. However, with the power of the Katie glitch, I can skip all of that, and I can enter what is, in my personal opinion, my favorite part of this speedrun. So right here, you have a little timer there. This is not off to the... All right, let's try this again. You have a timer here, and what you're trying to do is you're meant to try and get through the Yoshpet area as quickly as possible. And you have all these trees attacking you, you have all these ice. If you hit the ice, you'll become frozen and it loses a bunch of time. And if you get hit by those trees, you'll also lose time. It's always the most fun to see, can you beat your previous best in this area? Because this is just purely parkour. Most of this speedrun, and the entire of the any percent speedrun, is just how many of the KT glitches can you do without messing up? The reason why is because that KT glitch, it is a frame perfect trick. You do it in the any percent speedrun about 75 times. In all bosses, we're gonna do it about 150 to 200. But this part, this is just pure parkour. Now this ice part, this is meant to make Amaterasu slippery, and it makes it harder to get to the next platform. But I'm gonna use a trick. If you slide off the very edge, and you jump over the poison, Amaterasu doesn't think she's on ice, she thinks she's on regular grounds, and that just helps her get extra distance to get to the next area.
Time for a quick donation?
Absolutely.
We have a 69 kroner from F. Ready. Hey Saunders, so glad you made it to Gerdum. Hope the bus was cozy. Next time remember to book a flight to Oslo. Wink. Back to you.
Now, if you are wondering what on earth that was referring to, so I went on Google and I looked up flights to Oslo. And all the flights, they costed 100 euros. But there was this one flight that costed 30 euros. And I was like, wow, this is so cheap. Let me book this one. And it turns out there are 2 Oslo airports. There's the real Oslo, which is the capital of Norway. And then there's a place called Oslo Torp, which is in the complete opposite side of Norway. And I took the plane to the opposite side of Norway. And I'll be honest, yeah, so that was one wild journey. I would like to thank the members of the NSG community for helping save my rear ends when I landed in the wrong airport, because otherwise I was literally just screwed. I had no clue what to do. I'll tell you, this was one heck of a trip, because you wouldn't know this, but my PS3 literally broke about half an hour before the speedrun was going to begin. The power button stopped working, and so I would like to give a shout out to Eris. Eris came with me, and we tried to fix it. And basically the solution we found is we ripped the power button up. By ripping the power button up, we were able to use a pen to turn on my PS3 console. So I actually have no more, I'm looking at my PS3, I have no more power button, but that's all right. Now let's get back onto topic. We are inside of Yoshpet. So inside of Yoshpet, oh sorry, we're inside of Yoshpet. And so inside of Yoshpet, we are in the place where Isun was originally born. So this place right here, we're just going to talk to a bunch of people to advance the story. This is actually Isun's dad. This guy's called Ishaku. We need to talk to him a bunch of time, and he's going to talk to us about this place called the Devil Gate. And so the Devil Gate, this is a gate that no one's really heard of, but he knows about, and we're going to go and open it. So we're going to leave Pongtan right now, and we'll be able to advance. So Isun didn't actually go into Pongtan because he didn't want to meet his dad, but he knows that we want to go to that Devil Gate. I'm going to do that right now. So this right here is inner Yoshpet. This is the second half of Yoshpet. And this is effectively going to be the same thing as Yoshpet, but it's going to be a lot harder. This is like the veteran difficulty version. Now the good news is, I would say I am a veteran at this game. I don't know, but I have a feeling I am. So this is not too bad, but it's a little bit more exciting because I'm going to jump before I enter the ice. If your first jump is on regular snow and you're over ice, your second jump won't have the ice property. And so I can just use that to maneuver around, and that helps me dodge those snowballs as well. I'm going to hug this wall just to skip that next snowball as well. And so inside of inner Yoshpet, oh, you have icicles falling down on you. You have more ice cubes. You have the trees. Everything's attacking you all at once. It's kind of wild. However, I should be perfectly fine. Those brambles as well, those brambles are moving. In the past, they were not. So now I'm going to enter my favorite part of Inner Yoshpet. It's going to come up very soon. So it's going to get color wild very, very quickly. There's also these little orbs. These orbs give you extra time, like plus 30 seconds. We won't need those orbs. Okay, we are doing a speed run. I did a glitch there. How that works is if you get damaged by those brambles, you have one frame where the game thinks you're on the ground. And just like the Katie glitch, where we switch our current transformer to get an extra jump, by getting hit by those brambles, I get hit, and then I can hit a ground tackle, and that will give me extra jumps just to get over that one a little bit quicker. So now this is actually my favorite part in the Yoshpet. Here come all the snowballs. The snowballs are tumbling down on me. For the most part, I want to hit the center path. There we go. Just like that. And I have this little area here. This is, these are paws. You may not only get them if you have the Catcall brush power, but because you are expected to have Catcall brush power, they just leave them there for you. I'm now almost done with Inner Yoshpet. Yes, I'm almost done. And I can finally head to that Devil Gate and see what on earth is going on. All right, here we go. One more jump, and I'll be into beautiful Devil Gate. So here it is. Here is the Devil Gate. You can see it right there. It's a very mysterious gate, and only Isun is able to open this one up. So let's see here. It's going to have this beautiful light coming from it. I skipped the cutscene so you don't see that light. But it's very enticing, and when we enter this gate, we see this guy. Who is this guy? Huh, never seen that guy before. That guy is Oki. Now, I'm going to try and skip this cutscene here. Oh, okay, whatever. It's a 3-second time loss if you hit it. But Oki, he's a major part of the story. You're meant to work with him, you're meant to deal with him, all that stuff. But in the speedrun, we see him for the first time. And I'm currently in Komiki Village 100 years ago. So when I first started this speedrun, I was in a place called Komiki Village. And by opening up the Devil Gate, I'm now in this place from 100 years ago. So now I'm going to wake up this dude called Nagi. Nagi is part of this myth. This guy, or a legend even, sorry. This guy defeated the evil head of the serpent 100 years ago. And I've just caused a massive rift. Okay, I've done some time traveling, and I have killed Nagi. So Nagi, he was meant to defeat Orochi in the legends, and that's going to cause a lot of issues. So we're going to have to work around them. So what I'm going to do is this lady here, Kushi, she is the wife of Nagi, and I'm going to steal her clothes. So I need to crawl very slowly like this. If I run too quickly, she'll be alerted, and I will fail this minigame. The game developers are very nice. Isun says, well done. But if you start running there, you actually fail the minigame still. So I had to crawl for a little bit longer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to dress Nagi in Kushi's clothes. Yes, that's right. And so every year, the eight-headed serpent Orochi, he wants a sacrifice. This year, he wanted Kushi as a sacrifice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer Nagi to Orochi, and then we're going to fight Orochi and we're going to beat him up. So here is Shinshu Field 100 years ago. When we did the speedrun earlier, this was a main hub area. However, 100 years ago, most of the locations we used to go to are blocked off. And I'm going to do another fight skip. Down below me are these alien fights, and it's just a little bit slow to just fight them. But with the power decay glitch, I can go up to this top platform and completely skip that fight just like that. I'm now going to head into the moon cave. I did this earlier. Most of the stuff that I did earlier on when it comes to Shinshu Field, when it comes to moon cave, this is the same stuff because this is the legends from 100 years ago, and it repeats the exact same set of events that happen in present day. So here it is. Here is the moon cave. Unlike last time where there was a barrier blocking the entrance, we can just walk right in. Orochi wants to say hi. I'll very happily say hi to him. But first, there is another fight. It isn't in the present version of Mooncave, but it is in this one. And this fight is actually quite tough to skip. Let's see if I can do it. Well, there we go. I skipped the fight just like that. So this is another alien fight. But that alien that is blocking the Mooncave entrance has an extreme amount of HP. It takes quite a long time to deal with. So now we are in the Mooncave 100 years ago. And so the good news is, in present day, the bridge was blocked off. But 100 years ago, it's fully operational. And so I can go up to Orochi and I can say, knock, knock, can I come in? And we can fight this guy for the second time. So here it is. Here is Orochi, his beautiful golden bell and everything. And believe it or not, Orochi 2, this is the second fight, Orochi 2 is actually easier than Orochi 1. And the reason why is, in order to defeat the first Orochi boss fight as quickly as possible, I had to effectively skip parts of the tutorial. Because this boss fight is quite complicated for a new player, the game developers, they have a step-by-step instruction tutorial, but only in the first Orochi fight. And so that's why I was doing all that complex stuff. But without the tutorial, I can just go straight in. I can use the glitch to lower all 3 heads at the same time. And then I can do my favorite part of this speedrun for the second time. Here we go. Let's prepare the assault rifle. And let's get ready. Here we go. Here we go. Again, this second part of Orochi, oh, never mind. Let's get the right assault rifle. This second part of Orochi typically takes 40 minutes. But with the power of the beads, I can completely take down Orochi. Here we go. Unlimited ammo in my beads. This is so crazy. And Orochi gets completely annihilated in just a couple of seconds. It's so beautiful. And so, just like in present day, we're going to do the same things as before. So Nagi, oh wow, Nagi, turns out he revived himself. That's not too bad. So Nagi didn't actually die. I knocked him out. And because he was unconscious, 100 years ago, he was meant to go in, fight Orochi. And so he regained his consciousness. And in Kushi's clothes, he destroys Orochi just like that. There we go. And that is the second Orochi boss fight dealt with. Yay. But now there's a big problem. Orochi, he's not happy that he died. Last time he accepted a loss. This time he's throwing rocks at me. However, if I do bunny hopping here, I gain so much extra speed that the rocks all spawn behind me. So typically when you're running down, it's very annoying to deal with the rocks. But with the bunny hop, the rocks spawn behind me. I don't have to worry about them. So right now on my back, this is Laika. Laika, we wouldn't have seen her before. We would have heard about her. But she is someone who is thought to have the ability to remove the blizzard out of Kamui. So Laika, she was called in to this devil gate. She was kidnapped by these 2 owls, and she was put in Orochi's lair. That's why we had to go into that gate. We defeated Orochi again, and we freed up her. Because earlier on, I skipped removing this boulder, I will have to do the KT glitch again, just to get past here. Let's just take 3 or 4. There we go, that beautiful mountain. Just one more, and I get over just like this. Another advantage of skipping, removing the boulder, is that another fight is meant to spawn here. The good news is, that fight does not spawn in. So now, I have to be extremely careful. I was meant to enter Web Kid before. This is the next place I'm entering, but I haven't. And I was also meant to enter another place called Esafuji. So these glitch cutscenes are going to play. You see this like red circle and like that wooden thing moving to the side? That is meant to play in a cutscene. But because I played 2 cutscenes at the same time, I'm in a glitch state called walking while talking. And that will cause issues in the next area. If I skip the next cutscene too quickly, then the camera will be locked. If the camera is locked, then I'm not going to be able to see where I'm going. Now, I can fix it by just leaving. That is like running over. However, it does lose a bit of time. So here we go. Here's Esafuji. 2 cutscenes are now playing at the exact same time. I'm just going to wait there. I'm just going to wait a little bit more. Then I'm going to skip the cutscene. There we go. Now the camera isn't locked. What I'm meant to do is run all the way up the mountain. It's so slow, so painful. However, it turns out there's a different way to get up the mountain, which is falling underneath the map. So there's this lady called Taskell. Her house is at the top of the mountain, and her house is located underneath the map. So by doing that, I can just go right here. Here we go. Puts me straight at the top of the mountain, and I can enter Esafuji, which is my final dungeon of the game. Now, even though this is my final dungeon, there are still more bosses coming up. And this is, here we go. So, we have these cannons that are attacking me. The game developers, they expect you to go through the ice, and it's really slippery, and it's really tough to get through here. But by going through this snow part, you don't have to worry about any of the ice properties, and we can just run full speed. We're meant to cut down those cannons, but because I'm going so quickly, I completely bypass them. So I'm in the dungeon called Waoku Shrine. You'll notice there's a big clock tower here, and I'm meant to do a mini game to get all the way up here. I'm going to try something insane though. So right now, you'll notice I'm doing some barks. And so I'm doing the double frame perfect BKT glitch. And in order to get up to my next location, I have to do about 30 BKT glitches in a row. So I'm going to try it once. If I fail, I fail. Or if I lose too much height, I'll just start doing the regular KT glitch. The thing about the BKT glitch is, unlike the KT glitch, where if you fail it, you don't lose that much height, the BKT glitch, you lose so much more height compared to the regular KT glitch. So I am making good progress so far. Let's just keep it going. Now I have to worry about the cannons. With the BKT glitch, Amaterasu gets stuck in the air for a little bit. However, if the cannons fire while you're stuck, then you're going to be screwed. So I just got all the way up there using those BKT glitches. Maybe I'll make it look easy, maybe I don't really know. But this glitch is actually insane. It really is insane to pull off. You have to time those inputs perfectly. And let's just get all the way up to the top here. And we're going to fight our first boss, which is called Leku. So let's try that again. Throughout the rest of the speedrun, I'm just going to use the double frame perfect BKT glitch instead of the KT glitch. Just because I'm actually ahead on time, I think we should slow things down a little bit. So here we go, one more BKT. And we can advance. So now I've got some more parkouring sections. I'm going to do a precise jump. But there's this system that happens that when you go through that door, Amaterasu's speed is intentionally killed. However, if you jump in a certain way, you can avoid that. Right now, I'm meant to have the Velar Mist Brush power to slow down time so those cogs don't hit me. I don't have it, so I had to use the BKT glitch there. Now I'm going to just do some more precise platforming. You're meant to use the Blizzard Brush power. I skipped the Blizzard Brush power, so that fiery thing. That's what you're meant to use it for. And I'm going to do another precise jump. All right. More BKTs. If I mess up the BKT here, I will void out. Thankfully, I did not. You only have one attempt for this. A bunch of these areas, you see those like snowflake icons? That is a cue that you're meant to use Blizzard. Because I don't have Blizzard, I'm having to do a bunch of creative ways to get past it, but that's all right. So now I'm entering the final areas before the Leku boss fight. They kind of, this is a big dungeon, they kind of lead you up towards it. They get you excited for the fight. So we'll go this way. Now these cannon areas with the ice, it's extremely scary, but if you hug the right wall and have full speed, it's not too bad. So here we go, here's the Leku boss fight. Oh. So, Leku. This boss fight, even without New Game Plus, is trivial. Because when I entered that gate 100 years ago, you can see my reincarnation 100 years ago, Shiranui is fighting with me. And so, for this fight, I can just use Exorcism Slips to destroy Leku. However, if you don't use Exorcism Slips, my reincarnation Shiranui just destroys Leku for you. So regardless, this fight is trivial. Now, the game will crash if I do this incorrectly. So you see that key behind me? Because I didn't do a mini game from earlier, if I get that key and then talk to the Oki guy, the game will just crash. So what I need to do instead is just leave Waku Shrine, fly this way. So I'm just going to use the BKT glitch to just get over this wall, just like that. And I'm going to have to do a bit of backtracking. So if you do get that key piece, there is an elevator in the middle, and it takes you down straight to the second to the middle of the map, and so you can get to the second boss, Leku and Neku, a little bit quicker. However, it turns out by skipping the minigame in Waku Shrine on the base floor and just kating all the way up here, and then doing this little bit backtrack, it is a lot faster. So right now, I'm gonna do, because I can, a little bit of an insane sequence. So normally, you need to do about 30 or 40 just regular KT glitches to get to this next area. However, I'm doing BKT glitches, so I'm gonna have to do 30 to 40 in a row. But first of all, I would like to get up here. Right, I can't do the normal jump. Let's just do some BKTs. Here we go. Let's try that again. Let's first of all get out of bounds. There we go, good. Now I just need to get over this invisible wall. Excellent. So, if I mess this up for whatever reason, I lose too much height and I void out of bounds, I teleport to the beginning of Waku Shrine, and I have to start all the way over. So I don't want to mess this up. Okay, I really don't want to mess this up. However, I'm making good progress so far. If for whatever reason you lose a bunch of height, you can do some jumps on this wall, like some parts of this mountain are solid wall. So we're good to go. And so we just need to get to that second platform there, right in the distance. You will notice that I've skipped a bunch of brush powers. And, you know, in the any % speedrun, you only need to get 7 brush powers. Think about that, 7. However, to defeat all bosses, you only need to get 8. And so many brush powers, they sound useful in theory, but they have no real utility. So Blizzard is a brush power. You see this big gap? I could create a bunch of ice cubes in that gap and then travel across it. However, with the KT glitch, or the BKT glitch here, I did that flawlessly, by the way. That's actually quite hard to do. But I can just jump across. Now I need to set up for a very precise skip. So this might take a bit of time. Let's hopefully make sure it doesn't. So, okay, let's hope that worked. Okay, good. So there is a glitch in this game where if you use Fire Burst, it slows down time. And the reason why this is important is because we need time to be slowed down in order for those cannons. I did that perfectly, by the way. That looks a whole lot harder than it looks. I haven't even explained what I'm doing yet. But those cannons, they're attacking you. However, the cannonball themselves only shows up if time is slowed down. And so you have to time the Fire Burst ability in a very precise way. If you do that, only then will the cannonball show up so you can cut it. If you had the Veil of Mist brush power, then it's relatively trivial, but that timing is quite precise. We now need Blizzard again in order to make those fiery things ice. However, with the power of the BKT glitch, in fact, I can't do the BKT glitch, I have to do a KT glitch here. I can just jump over everything. A fun fact, if you have a key in your mouth, the BKT glitch does not work. So that's the reason why I just did a regular KT glitch here. So here we go, here's Oki. Hi Oki, how are you doing? Yeah, not too bad, yeah. And we're now going to fight the next boss, Leku and Neku. So remember when I fought Leku, it was a trivial boss fight, even with the cheese, you know, with the slips, cheese being like just easy way to defeat a boss or not. Leku and Neku, on the other hand, unfortunately has the exact same cheese. So with the power of the exorcism slips, I could just go in and completely annihilate Leku and Neku. The regular way you do this boss is you wait for these attacks to come after you, and after a certain amount of time, each owl will get stunned one by one. You work with that Oki dude, and he makes a bow and arrow to just shoot at those twin demons. And then once you do that, you can start dealing damage. Now a glitch cutscene plays here. Easton's trying to tell me to go back because it's complicated. But this is the Ark of Yamato. So this Ark is the source of all evil. And this is the final boss rush in the game. Yes, that's right. We're slowly but surely making our way to the very end. So the good news is there's more bosses. The bad news is we fought all these bosses before. So some bosses I will fight in a slightly different way. Like first of all, I'm going to go to the shop and I'm actually going to buy the first thing ever from the shop. Those are called Vengeful beads, and you will see them later on with a bunch of bosses. But first, here is my boy Blight. And throughout these bosses, as I fight them, you will see these Celestials. So there's this place in the story called Celestial Plane. This is Celestial Plane is where the Okami sequel will be set in. And these Celestials border the Arc of Yamato, which I'm on. And you know, they just wanted to travel around. What they didn't realize is this Arc of Yamato is the source of all evil. There was a ton of bosses on that arc, and all of those Celestials were slain except for one. I will go into which Celestial wasn't slain later on when we see him. However, that's Blight. There we go. So when you do Blight in Arc of Yamato, it is very slightly different compared to when you do it in Imperial Palace. In order to get the sword attack from Blight to show up so I can just kill him really quick, I have to wait a very specific amount of time before I move forwards towards Blight. If I just immediately go towards Blight, it takes a long time before the sword attack shows up, and that's why I just wait that specific amount of time. When you talk to those Celestials a second time, they completely die. That's so sad. No one's crying though. Now let's go to the second boss. In fact, I'm going to do it in order. I was thinking about mixing it up, maybe, you know, changing the boss order. In the Arc of Yamato, you can choose whichever bosses you want to go to first. However, it is faster to just go to each boss one by one. So I'm just going to head to the second one right here. There we go. And this is Orochi. So remember, we fought Orochi the first time. Then we fought Orochi the second time. Now we are fighting Orochi for the third time. Yes, that's right. The game developers want you to fight Orochi for 3 times. Now what's really insane about this third fight is that the sake, which is the alcohol used to make Orochi drunk, is just conveniently in the Arc of Yamato. The reason why this is insane is because in the story, the sake only shows up because Kushi makes it, and then you take her sake and spill it in. But we didn't do that this time. The Arc just conveniently has these 8 pads for alcohol. Not sure why that happens. However, I'm not complaining. So now we're going to do the exact same thing as earlier. We're going to use those Tundra bees I bought from the store just to defeat Orochi a little bit quicker. Orochi 1 dies the quickest. And then, believe it or not, Orochi 3 will die faster than Orochi 2. Yes, that's right. And like usual, I'm using the assault rifle to completely obliterate Orochi. The game developers genuinely did not think of this. They did not want you to do that, okay. But there we go, there's Orochi. Well, there he was, because he is now dead. Very nice. Now, each time you will notice that this low zone appears. In the different bosses, you will notice I'm going to try and position Amaterasu in a very specific way so I can immediately teleport out. I can't position Amaterasu right on the low zone or I won't teleport. However, I can position her right next to it and just walk into it. So now what I'm going to do is I don't know if you call this a skip. However, between the first and second boss, you would have just saw me running from point A to point B. However, in certain areas, it is faster to just do the Katie glitch to get across to the other side. Because you can talk to the Celestial while you're out of bounds, and the Celestial will push you back in bounds nice and easy. So here is Spider Queen. The first time we fought her, we had to connect 2 vines to her back. In the Arc of Yamato, she's upgraded because we need to connect 3 vines instead. So here's the second vine, here's the third vine. I trivialized this fight by just manipulating my brush very slightly so that I can hook those vines without having to run all the way to her rear side. And now I'm going to try and position Amaterasu. Let's see if I got it. So what's going to happen is the fight's going to end, low zone's going to appear, and I should just be literally right next to it. Let's see, did I pull it off? And I did. There we go. So I just walk, and it just immediately goes into low zone. And if you walk at a certain angle, you see Amaterasu's angle kind of like shows up like that. A nice glitched angle. There's another glitch which you can do. And these glitches, by the way, have no utility, which is that if on the first frame the fight ends, you mash the bark input, you can get a bark to show up while you're in the results screen. It has no utility, but it's something you can do. So now, we're gonna go to the hardest boss in the game. So this right here is Crimson Helm, and he really is the toughest boss. So let's see if I can pull it off. So we're gonna have a first phase here. There's the first phase. And then we're gonna have a second phase any second now. So the second phase is gonna load any second now. And it turns out, I guess he just didn't want to fight. He just didn't want to fight. And we can just leave the arena just like that. He didn't show up to work. I mean, we got here so quickly. Crimson Helm didn't even show up. Now we can do the final boss fight in the boss rush. And then you see that little center area with that ball? That is the final boss in Okami. And I'm very excited to show the final boss. Because the final boss, many of these bosses, honestly, you don't really need to use your brain for. Ninetales coming up, I do need to use my brain for. Yami, you also do need to use your brain for, which is the final boss. But first, let's say hi to Ninetales. So here we go. Hi, Ninetales, hi. So I'm gonna walk up a very specific distance. If you walk forwards too much, Ninetales will do attacks at you. And those attacks, you can't do anything, you just have to wait. So I'm going to attack this specific old lady here. These are clones of Rao. The reason why I attack that specific old lady is because all those old ladies will die immediately to one exorcism slip other than one. So I target that one old lady which doesn't. Now for the second phase, I'm going to spam my Tundra Beads to make the third phase appear faster. I'm going to position Amaterasu further back to force Ninetales' charging attack. And with the power of the Tundra Beads, I can completely destroy Ninetales just like that. Let's see if I can get this. I want to try and get this frame perfect bark. Nah, I didn't get it. It saves 0 seconds, but your swag points go up by 1. But that's all right. So now I've defeated all of the bosses inside of the boss rush, and the evil energy is combined together. And you can now see, any second now, the final low zone for the big boy Yami, the ruler of eternal darkness. There it is. There it is. I'm so excited for the final boss in Okami HD. So I'm gonna make my way slowly but surely. And sadly, the merchant, he's the last celestial to die. You won't see his death animation because I skipped it. Remember earlier, I said all the Celestials were slain in the Ark of Yamato other than one. That one Celestial was Waka. Yes, that's right. So we will see Waka at the end. Right now, here's Yami. So I'm first of all going to kick Yami. I do this in a specific way because how this fight works is you damage Yami, you get a brush power. If you damage Yami incorrectly, Yami will do an attack where Yami's completely invincible, you can't hit him. So that loses a good 10-20 seconds. But by doing that lunge kick right off the rip, he is vulnerable and you can attack him. Now this rest of this phase, unfortunately, is just going to disappear. The reason why it disappears is because I have 10 times damage. However, the second phase, you can't just spam the beads. Because if you spam the beads, you won't get your next brush pass. So what I'm going to do? Yami phase 2 shows up. I'm only going to hit Yami twice. Once Yami's on the floor and fully knocked out, then I spam the beads like that. If you just spam the beads immediately, Yami just gets damage, and will not give you the next brush power, and you'll just lose a bunch of time. There's the second phase right there. If you look at the bottom right, you will notice that Yami has no health. So why on earth isn't Yami dying? You'd think I could just go in, completely obliterate Yami. Well, that's because Yami needs to give you 3 brush powers, before you can advance. So this is my 3rd brush power for the second phase. Once I get this one, then I can advance onwards. So there we go, there it is. And a fun fact about getting these brush powers that you might not know is I skipped half the brush powers I'm getting. So even though I haven't gotten half these brush powers, the game very kindly is gifting them all to me. Thank you very much. I don't need to do any of the work, it all just comes to me. So now I have the lotto machine. This is the 3rd phase of Yami. So what I need to do is I need to strike gold. I need to get the jackpot. Here we go. Can I get the jackpot? And yes, I can. So I could have done 2 things. I could have acted like getting the jackpot requires a lot of skill and it's just, you know, or a lot of luck, and I was just getting really lucky today. However, it turns out there is an oversight. Well, not even an oversight. If you damage Yami enough, you can rig the slots, and by rigging the slots, you can get the jackpot every single time. Yes, that's right. So I just use those exorcism slips to just damage Yami as much as possible in order to advance onwards. So there we go. We just now need to wait one more time for the slots to appear. If you don't have exorcism slips, you typically don't get the jackpot. And all those, like, you see that fire below and ice and stuff, Yami will attack you, and what you do is you just deflect those attacks. Those attacks will deal damage to Yami. So there we go, there's my 3rd brush power for phase 3. So I'm gonna head into the big phase 4. Here we go, bye-bye. For poor Yami. So here is phase 4. Now, what I'm doing in phase 4, you're just not gonna expect this. So I'm gonna start by using 6 exorcism slips. So there we go. So there's the 6 exorcism slips, and Yami's gonna give me a brush power. Now, can you possibly guess what I'm gonna possibly do next? I don't know. Let's find out. So I get the next brush power, and then I'm gonna use another slip. Now, can you possibly guess, out of all the things I can do in this Yami boss fight, what am I gonna start and do next? Are you ready? Are you ready? I'm gonna get the next brush power, and then I'm gonna use another slip. But surely, the next time, I'm gonna do something different, right? I mean, this is Yami, this is the final boss. I have to be doing something different, surely. Well, are you ready? You ready for this? And I'm gonna use another slip. And I'll use one more. Now, the game isn't over just yet. The game thinks it's over, or like makes you pretend it's over. But this is the final boss. The world will end if we don't defeat Yami. I'm gonna draw the sun, even though I don't have the sun brush power. That's the scripted event where it works. And if I time this precisely, there we go, I execute Yami. And that is time. Thank you. Real quick, I would like to give a big thank you to the NSG team for accepting this run. This all bosses run is honestly my favorite category. But also, if you watch these like speed runs and you haven't gone to this event, like I went to this NSG building, and this is probably the coolest building I've ever been to. Like I was so shocked. It's in the middle of this tiny village, and it's just the coolest place. There's like arcades with all these old consoles and stuff. And like this is honestly, like, imagine you're like younger and you can just do whatever you want and just have a great time. This is this building right here. So if you are able to go to NSG, even if you don't plan on running, I'd actually quite recommend it. And I'd also like to just say real quick, shout out to my PS3 where the power button stopped working 20 minutes before the run. We did get it working though. Shout out to Eris for helping me with that. And that's Okami. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that amazing run, Saunders. I still had a blast. You keep on yapping. It's amazing. It really is. Very good, very cool. All right, next up is going to be the breakfast show with the one and only Chrissy. So, we're going to set up for that in a little bit. In the meanwhile, don't go anywhere. Maybe grab some knekkebröd and yeah, give yourselves a nice cup of tea, of coffee, and we're gonna set up here for that one. I'm also handing over the host mic to Floa because this is my last hosting shift for this event, and I really had a blast, and I'm going to miss NSG again, and I'm going to miss everyone. Anyway, thank you for having me, NSG. We're now setting up for the breakfast show, and yeah, catch you all on the flip side. Cheers.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to NSG Fall 2025. My name is Foa. I'm gonna be your host for the upcoming breakfast show. We're gonna have a very chill time here. Gonna eat some good old breakfast here, and yeah, hopefully we're gonna have a very chill time in here. And hopefully you're also prepared to have a chill time. And maybe you would even like to leave us some donations, because we do still have some incentives that need to be met. For examples, later on we've got the Nightstones run. We've got a sound effect pack there with a barking dog, if that is what you would like. We currently do not have any donations towards that, but that can easily be changed. Or alternatively, for the jazz punk run, we've got like a whole bunch of stuff. Currently, only the first Easter egg is open. So, and as soon as we unlock the first Easter egg, we're gonna get there, and we're gonna open up the incentive to unlock the next Easter egg. They're all priced at 250 kroner. So, one Easter egg, 250 kroner. So, yeah, make sure to donate towards that if you would like to see some Easter eggs in Jazz Pump, which is gonna be a bit later today. It's like in the early afternoon. So, make sure to get your donations in for that.
For time and the world do not stand still. Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or the present are certain to miss the future. I said, are certain to miss the future.
Oh no, I missed that.
Prime Minister Castro, this missile crisis was the last straw. We almost blew ourselves up. Now, we invited you here today...
In good faith.
In good faith. To sort this thing out.
And why is he here? He lost.
As I always say, forgive your enemies, but remember their names. Now, gentlemen, as I like to think, in the long history of the world, that there are only a few generations.
Sounds like someone breaking in.
It's just a storm, Dick. Sit down.
Oh my God!
It appears the Pentagon has been breached.
Zombies. Gentlemen, at times like these, our capacity to retaliate must be, and has to be, massive to deter all forms of aggression. Gentlemen, lock and load.
Viva la revolución!
Do not pray for easy lives, my friends. Pray to be stronger men.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. I'll tell you all about it when I see you again.
I'm sorry.
We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again.
Like it goes in submission order, so like if you submit first and then submit last, it will do that, and it seems like it's jumping around. Ladies and gentlemen, Bahist! The Deus Ex block is complete. Oh my god, congrats, brother. We did it first though. Congrats, Bahist. Let's go.
It's been a long day without you, my friend. And I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again.
So what you're saying is that Fast and Furious Crossroads can still make it?
I'm waiting for the racing game. Racing block? Racing block? There is only one good follow-up to this. Yeah, it's Fast and Furious Crossroads.
Still praying for one game though.
I was gonna say exactly. Oh my god, Mashish, my favorite.
Let's go!
Mashish! Yo, Mashish!
No! What a tragedy!
It's been a long day without you, my friend. And I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way.
Still praying for one game though.
I'm waiting for the racing game.
Oh, what a tragedy!
It's been a long day without you, my friend. And I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
So yeah, that may have been a bit of an early prophecy from back in the day with our good friends from Speed Fam. And now, what do we have? We raised what 20,000 kroner last night to name our arcade, Dom's family establishment. So there we go. Yes. It's been a long road. But we're still setting up. I'm Nordic. I'm here. I'm awake. I actually got some sleep. I'm not as delirious as I was yesterday anymore. I think Eris is on the flip side of that. Eris is more delirious than I was yesterday. And Chrissy's making breakfast out of cables. I'm seeing... Wait, oh God, I'm seeing NES cables again. I think we're going to be in trouble. Anyway. Oh no. Oh no. Anyway, we're still setting up for Chrissy's breakfast show. I know it says Chrissy and Nordic's breakfast show. Nordic has no idea what's going on with Chrissy's breakfast show. I was shooed out of the kitchen. I was told not to look at too many things, and yeah, that's where we're at now. So yeah, stick around. We're gonna have some something fun here.
Suck my cock.
I would like to remind everyone that NSG Fall 2025 benefits NRK TV Aktionen. This year's campaign goes to the Atlas Alliance and will open doors for disabled people living in war and poverty. Really, if you have a little bit of money left over, please consider donating to a great cause. We are currently still setting up for Chrissy's breakfast show featuring a somewhat sleep-deprived Nordic, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Tech is doing their best. And yeah, we, as I said earlier as well, we have a bunch of incentives coming up as well. We still have a few incentives that have no options yet at all. We have for Jazzpunk, we have we can unlock a total of 4 Easter eggs. Currently, there is only Easter egg 1, which you can unlock for 250 kroner. As soon as we unlock that, we will open the incentive to unlock Easter egg number 2. And for Nightstones, you can turn on a sound effect pack which features barking dogs, if you would like that. That is just 500 kroner. And for our very last run, we have a very big bid war. You can choose in Donkey Kong Bonanza, you can choose the voiceover for Pauline. And there you have a choice between 11 different languages. So yeah, and I mean currently no option is leading. All options are at 0 kroner. So consider donating towards this. It's gonna be very interesting to see. And yeah, we should soon be ready with Chrissy's breakfast show featuring a somewhat sleep-deprived Nordic, and we'll get there soon. Stay tuned.